Welcome to Your Future is Now, hosted by Jim Grant and Bill Heinrich. Their show is dedicated to sharing information in business, health, and obstacles we face in our everyday lives. Jim is also the TV host of Messages of Inspiration and Hope on E360 TV. Bill is the author of 7 Levels of Truth and is a master in the world of getting clarity in your mind to clear out the cobwebs and remove mental barriers that hold you back. Each week, they will interview an exciting guest. We're so glad you've tuned in. Be sure to share the show. And now, here's Jim.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Your Future is Now is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. I'm joined today by the honorary host here on the TogiNet radio system, Mr. Bill Heinrich. As you heard in the introduction, he is the author of the 7 Levels of Truth. It's a fantastic book. I was honored to receive a copy of it. And Bill is also fondly known around the world as the Dean of the 6-Minute Webinar. That's SIXMinuteWebinar.com. Mr. Bill, welcome to the show, my man, and tell us a little bit about the benefits of the 6-Minute Webinar.
Good morning, Jim. Great to be here. There's just so many benefits. It's interesting. We teach people how to do and record a webinar in 6 minutes. It includes 12 sections of critical information that provides a very powerful call to action and acts as a magnet to your perfect client. And there's so much learning that goes on, Jim, in the 6-minute webinar. I could sit here for a half an hour and keep listing things off. And the most important thing that happens is people learn to stop spewing a bunch of words and speak with very specific clarity about the thing that they do best in serving their clients. That's really important, isn't it?
It really is. And, originally the 6-minute webinar was just designed to be that, just to be able to get your message out as a great marketing tool. And then as we got deeper into it, we realized that it has no parameters or no barriers. You can't keep it inside of a box. And a perfect example of that, I was going to speak at a summit over in India, and the guest of honor was the King of Oman. He was going to be present, so I knew a lot of people would be there. It was an international summit. So I took the 6-minute webinar, ladies and gentlemen, and I crafted my presentation. And I used it as the building blocks to be able to get a crystal clear message across on my topic. And it worked very well for me. I mean, I was really impressed because I sounded more clear, more precise, more on target, and no yakety sacks. Because you listen to a lot of people talk and they just go on and on and on. And it just gets boring, doesn't it, Bill?
Well, it gets boring for the listeners.
That's what I mean.
Yesterday, I was working with a client up in Canada, and it was really fascinating because in the 6-minute webinar, we have an application called ScriptPal. So all you have to do is answer 40 questions. ScriptPal plugs those in to the scientifically proven script that we've developed inside of this application. And it was so common to hear their answers because as I went through working with them one-on-one, they had 3 or 4 answers for every question. And what happens in the 6-minute webinar, in fact, we're going to be doing a live boot camp, Jim, July 17th, from 9 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. You can go to the 6minutewebinar.com to register for it. But what happens when you come to the boot camp and you get that clarity is you figure out that there are not interchangeable puzzle pieces. There's very important pieces that need to be plugged together to build credibility and trust with those that you serve. And that's what the 6-minute webinar teaches.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. The thing that blows me away is that every single time that I've seen someone start reading the the 6-minute webinar that gets delivered to their email inbox within 1 minute after they hit submit. They start reading it and they go, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah.
It blows them away. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
same thing happened to me when I started, reading my presentation I was going to do at that international summit. And I'm going like, "Oh boy, this is good." I'm going to say, I was just going to say, that thing made me sound semi-intelligent.
The fascinating thing about it is the focus is so narrow that you can create a 6-minute webinar, go through the process. I did one to write a chapter in a compilation book I was involved in. I've done other ones to write landing pages for my clients to go to answer their questions. It can be used for so many different types of applications.
Oh, yeah.
It's really a fascinating process, and it's almost impossible, believe it or not, to describe all the benefits, because everybody that comes to our boot camp and works on their 6-minute webinar is stunned. They are stunned by what they learn, not only from what Don and I teaching them, because we're the ones that run the boot camp, but they also learn from other attendees, because other attendees are giving them information and input to help them get clarity on their message. It's really fascinating.
It really is. And before we get to our guest, Mr. Howard Berg, I just want to say that the one thing that we've never heard from anyone is that, "Well, thank you very much. This is very nice, but this is not for me." They're kind of like that old song, more, more, more. They want more of it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. It's really been quite an enlightening process as we've developed that and built the 6-minute webinar, not only for us, but also for all the people that have attended our boot camp.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, we're so blessed today to have Mr. Howard Berg with us today on the show. He's recorded in the Guinness World Records. I think the year was 1990, but he is the world's fastest reader. Oh my goodness. Just wait till he shares some great information with you. Howard, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Would you be so kind as to share a little bit about yourself to the audience today, sir?
Absolutely. Well, I was in Guinness in 1990 for reading 80 pages per minute, and no one has ever replaced that reading claim.
Wow. 80 pages per minute? My goodness.
Yes.
How do they actually measure that, Howard? Obviously you read the pages and you time it, but what about the competency of the information read? How do they actually determine that?
You're responsible for proving the record. So most records, there's one TV show that interviewed them or a newspaper. I had 5 TV shows in 5 different cities that were newscasts. I had 5 different newspapers in 5 other different cities that tested me. For example, in one city, it was Cleveland. I was on a show called Morning Exchange, and they had me read an 1,180-page book. And then they tested me, and I got 100. And then 2 years later, I was back in Cleveland, and they tested me a second time without telling me they were going to on the same book, without giving me the book. So it was 2 years later, and I got 100 on the second test.
So I've got a question I've just got to ask here, Jim.
Yeah.
How did this ever get started for you, Howard?
Oh, okay. That's my backstory. I grew up in the projects of Brooklyn. Not a great place to grow up. Lots of violence, a lot of gangs. And I found the safest place in my neighborhood was the library. Gang kids would rather be dead than caught reading a book. So I read a lot because that's all I could do safely. And by the time I was 11, I had college reading. I went to the State University of New York at Binghamton. It's one of the top 10 public colleges, to major in biology when I was 17. For my last half of my junior year, I get interested in the brain. So I told the dean I want to be a psychobiologist and also major in psychology. He looked at me and said, "You have 1 year left. You haven't taken a single psych course. You'll have to do the 4-year program in 1 year and finish bio at the same time. Take 6 science courses with 2 4-hour labs." And to make it a little more challenging, I was also working 3 jobs. He said, "You won't be able to do that. You're not smart enough." That's when I realized they never taught me how to learn in school. So I figured out how to learn, got up to 80 pages a minute using the information I learned about the brain, did the psych program in 1 year, took the GRE, the SAT for graduate school in biology. I read 48 books in 3 nights, like biochemistry, genetics, and cell physiology. Got 3 questions wrong. So it was in the 99th percentile, got an 800. Then I wondered if it was me or the system. I taught it to kids 11 to 15, and they did a 30-chapter book in lifelong developmental psych in a week. And 15 out of 18 passed the CLAP, the AP test, in 1 week. And it meant it wasn't just I could do it, I could teach it.
That's really amazing because, listening to you talk there, and you had a desire to learn, and that was the foundation that got you started out in to be able to become the world's fastest reader. And my goodness gracious, I tell you right now, speed reading is, I took a course in college, and folks, it really does work. I mean, I wish I'd have practiced it more. I'm going to start picking it up a little more because I know how to do it, the technique, because you remember more of what you read when you speed read than you do when you just try to read every single word. And Bill, we're getting very close to commercial break, and I tell you right now, I want to hear a lot more from Howard after we come back from break. How about you, brother?
Oh, I have a whole number of questions. Very, very interested in it. To me, it's really kind of mind-boggling, frankly.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because you can certainly apply it and use it in so many different ways.
Oh, yeah. And the thing I love about it that I remember about speed reading is that your retention level, what you read, is so greater than just reading word by word. And ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Your Future is Now is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6-Minute Webinar. That's SIXMinuteWebinar.com. We're going to have a workshop on that. I think it's July the 17th, and I'm joined here today by the honorary host here on TogiNet Radio, Mr. Bill Heinrich. And Mr. Bill, we were visiting with Howard during the break, and he's going to really share some very interesting things with us, isn't he, sir?
Yeah. There's so many different aspects of this, Howard. And what's one of the primary benefits of being a speed reader?
Well, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Oprah, Jack Ma read a book a day. Elon Musk reads 2 books a day.
Wow.
Which bank account would you rather have? Theirs or yours? And what are they doing that you're not? There's one real benefit. We live in a knowledge-based economy. Information doubles every 6 months. And every decision you make is based on what you know. If you have more information, you're going to make better choices, fewer mistakes, increase your bottom line, and ultimately be a happier, more productive person.
For someone listening out there, they're saying, hey, I'd like to know more. And I just want to point out that Howard's website that you can find him is Berg, B-E-R-G, learning, Learning.com. And you can reach Howard at berglearning.com. So be sure and check out his website and send him an email and just say, tell me more, because we were talking during the break, Bill, on this speed reading deal will work for everyone, including homeschoolers and, people that's young, people that's old. He shared some great information there, didn't he, sir?
He certainly did. Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit further, Howard, about what are the primary group of people that you work with? Are they just people who just have an interest in learning more, reading more, or is this used for people in certain occupations?
There's three groups. Of course, one of the largest groups has always been people in school. They don't have a choice. They have to read. I'll give you an example. Micah Stanley passed the bar at 19, California. Justin Brummett was a C student at 11, took the program, became an English professor at 22. Stephen Terry graduated UT at 16, 4.0, economics degree, master's in math at 19, 397 GPA. Those would be students. I trained the U.S. Special Forces at Fort Bragg and the Royal Thai Army in Bangkok, lots of Fortune 500 companies. One of my favorites was Ruth Lubin. She was 84. She was Miss Senior California. And she read 3 books in 3 hours the day after I taught her. So seniors use it to stay mentally fit. Students use it to get higher grades, graduate on time. Business people use it to make more money, increase their productivity, and stay ahead of the competition.
Wow. When you said about that young lady at age 84 reading 3 books, oh my goodness, in that short period of time, that will definitely keep you mentally alert, won't it, brother?
Well, there was the longitudinal studies, the Seattle and the Seattle longitudinal study on aging, and they found out in Baltimore, and they found that people who in their 80s that were readers had a lower onset of dementia and Alzheimer's. It kept the healthy part of the brain healthy longer. They said even people who started reading saw benefits, but people who would read all through their life stayed younger mentally. It's like a muscle. They're using their brain. They're stimulating those neurons, and it helped them to maintain mental acuity as they were aging.
Yeah, I tell you, I was just looking at some of the information that you've sent us, and, you know, being able to read and faster to stay on top of vital information, that is critical in the world today, isn't it?
It's vital. Information doubles every 6 months. More is printed in a week than all human history up to the year 1800. If you'd like, I could actually show our listeners how to start, and they can increase their speed 20 to 40% in the next 2-3 minutes.
Yes, please do, sir.
So when we're done, pick a book you've read, preferably nonfiction. The only thing that could confuse you is your speed and not what's in the book. And read for a minute with a timer. Do nothing special. Read the way you normally do. See how far you get when the timer's up, and mark off where you finish with a pen. So now you've measured your current reading rate in that book. Now for the magic. Go to the second chapter. Take your hand and go from the left to the right margin, one line at a time, eyes following your hand, and this is important, as fast as you could comprehend. So as long as you know what you're reading, go quicker and quicker and quicker till you don't. That's when you found out it got too fast. Since you know what's in the book, the only thing that's confusing you is how fast you're going. Slow down just enough so your comprehension comes back. And for 5 minutes, use your hand and guide your eye from the left to the right margin as fast as you can comprehend and no faster. Go back to the first chapter. Time yourself again for a minute using your hand. You're going to blow past that initial mark 20 to 40% just doing that one easy to learn change.
And that's the starting point to learn how to speed read, isn't it, sir?
That's the very first step. There's more steps, obviously. We cover those in the reading program online, but you have to start somewhere. And the nice thing is they can test it out and they'll see right away that it's going to work.
That's amazing, Bill. I remember that in college. You know, we used our hand to just, you know, glide underneath the sentence, and like Howard said, just go at the rate where you can comprehend. And the wonderful thing about it is that the more you do it, the faster you can go.
That's true.
I kind of slacked off on that, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, but guess what I'm going to start doing? I'm gonna start reading using my fingers. I kind of, got lazy. I'll be honest, forgot about it. You forget about things, and but it really does. The comprehension rate is just so phenomenal. You read faster, but you comprehend more of the material that you've read. That's what really impressed me.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes, sir.
When MSNBC first launched, one of their first hosts was Dick Cavett. He told me he was interviewing Woody Allen. And Woody took Evelyn Woods and read War and Peace in 5 minutes. It's an enormous book. He said, "That's amazing. What do you remember?" And Woody said, "It's about the Russian Revolution. That's all I remember." That was a problem. You had to read fast always. If you slowed down and learned a new word or an idea, you'd lose your speed because it was all those hand motions. I changed it. I integrated psychology, how the brain works. So the guy who owned Evelyn Woods was Maurice Thompson Jr., and he hired me to teach his son my system. He said I went past speed reading to speed learning, bringing it in the 21st century. I made more of a Swiss Army knife. I use reading to find what I don't know, and I show them how to determine what they need to learn, if it's for a test or a meeting. Then I show them how to use brain-based study skills to make sense out of things that they didn't understand. So you read the calculus book, but still don't know how to do calculus. So you haven't really accomplished anything. So I show them how to learn it. Then I show them how to remember it, so you don't have to relearn it over and over again. And then I show them how to stay in the right state. A lot of people get nervous taking tests or speaking in public, and it interferes with their learning. So by integrating emotional intelligence, study skills, reading skills, memory skills, it's no longer simply just how do you read fast, but it's a total learning solution. And that's what people are really looking for. People want to learn faster, not necessarily read faster.
That's fascinating. Howard, would you give your website again, please? And what is it that when people go there that you have available for them to help them learn to read faster?
Go to berglearning.com, berglearning.com. It's called the Speed Reading Genius Program. There's 2 versions. There's a professional version, and then there's a student version. And they can get either one, and it's in 109 languages.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
that's, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say you got the professional level and the student level.
Yes.
Basically, what is the difference between the two, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. Students going to read a biology book, and a business person's going to read a book on marketing or a spreadsheet. How you read, how you remember, that doesn't change. But what you read and what you're trying to learn is different. So the practice drills and the exercises are more replicable to what they would normally do in their day-to-day world. So the student's doing the kind of reading that a student would be doing, and the business person's focusing more on material that would be more relevant to their niche. So it makes it more relevant, more interesting, and more engaging because it's something you actually would want to know.
That makes a lot of sense because it's kind of like being tested on what's applicable and attractive to you.
Yes.
And I tell you, Bill, we're getting close to going to break, but I tell you right now, I want to hear some more from Howard as we come back after the break. And because so far, I don't know about you, but he is really impressing me and blowing my mind in a few areas.
Yeah, it's really, so to speak, I got my mind spinning here, especially how many languages did you have on your website again?
109. So pretty much if you speak the language, it's there.
It's
from the earth.
It's funny because
of illusion, but most of the other languages are represented.
Yeah, because I was just trying to think of, immediately seeing, the Japanese language and the symbols and how it could be that fast,
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Or Chinese, huh? Really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here wondering if he's got a course because I've got a degree in Southern slang. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with Howard Berg right after this brief message as we head to our commercial break. Please stay tuned, and we'll be right back right after this message. And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Your Future is Now is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. That's SIXminutewebinar.com. And me and Mr. Bill Heinrich. Bill is the honorary host here. He's also the author of The 7 Levels of Truth. We are joined today by Mr. Howard Berg, and he is the world's fastest speed reader. His website is Berg Learning. That's BERGLEARNING.com. His email is howard@berglearning.com. And as Bill was saying during the break, we were trying to remember what it was that that Howard wanted us to ask him, because he's going to be talking to us about a couple of subjects there to help us remember, isn't he?
He is. The Howard, the thing that fascinates me with this is I'm having the realization that no matter who takes any of your courses, they're instantly going to improve their reading and comprehension. Is that correct?
Yes. Reading by itself is useless. How many people have read a book, took a test, and failed? Well, if they read the book, why did they fail? They didn't understand anything, and they couldn't use it when they needed it. So comprehension is far more important than speed. And if you'd like, I could show you the secret to comprehension.
Sure.
When I studied in graduate school, one of the things they told us is there's a thing called schema. Schema is what you know before you read. So if it says the man wore a suit, you don't say, what's a man? What's wearing? What's a suit? That's schema. I'm going to read a passage that has no schema. Watch how confusing it is. Then I'll read it a second time with a one-word title that has schema, and instantly it'll make total sense. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is the schemaless text. This is an easy thing to do. Possible you could do it at home, but you could always go someplace else if it's necessary. Beware of overdoing it. This is a major mistake. It may cost you quite a bit of money, and probably not making a whole lot of sense because there's no schema. Now I'm going to read it again with a one-word title. The title has schema, and watch the difference. Laundry. Laundry. This is an easy thing to do. If possible, you could do it at home. You could always go someplace else if it's necessary. Beware of overdoing it. This is a major mistake. It may cost you quite a bit of money. Now it makes total sense. By teaching people where these clues are, it's like a decoder ring. Do 3, 4 times faster. In very technical material like law, medicine, accounting, and actually understand it better than you did before, because you're not just reading quicker, you're using what the brain is doing to make sense out of text as well.
Whoa, I hadn't even thought of something like that. How about you, Bill?
Yeah. It's just at just that little piece there, because it's interesting because when I'm reading, I do that so I can better understand the subject matter and the context of what's being taught. But I hadn't associated it with being able to accelerate the rate that I speak at, or read at. I'm sorry. See, I can't even talk. I'm talking about reading here.
One of the advantages of doing this is, in the past, speed reading was mechanical, just hand motions. So you had to do it always. And when you went to learn something you didn't know, you lost your speed. Well, with this system, you can slow down and learn something you don't know and instantly go back to your top speed. So it gives you more freedom to go up and down in your speed in accordance with what you're learning and how familiar it is or how unfamiliar it is. So even in very unfamiliar material, with lots of new unfamiliar words and ideas, you'll still read at a higher speed, but you won't lose your top speed because you slow down and learn the new things.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, folks, that's really a nicety to know right there, because a lot of times we run into something that we are unfamiliar with, and we kind of like let it be a burden or a hurdle for us. And that's that. I really like that, Howard. I really do. Thank you so much. Mhm.
We could also talk about memory because you brought that up. People
Okay.
say, Howard, you read 80 pages a minute. Do you remember anything? And the answer is yes. I remember a lot. And so will you. I'm going to teach you how to speed memorize, one of the skills. I'm going to give you 10 things to remember, not show you how much, how poorly you do. And our audience can do this with us. I want you to remember pole, shoes, tricycle, car, glove, gun, dice, skate, cat, and bowling pins. Would it be safe to say you can't repeat the list backwards and forwards effortlessly right now?
You would be
Yeah.
correct on that, sir. Yes.
I'm still on bowling pin.
Yeah.
Remember it in 3 minutes, backwards and forwards. In fact, 3-year-olds can learn this. And this isn't a drill, it's a tool. Here's a tip. Remember 10% of what you read, 90% of what you say and do. You're going to want to remember this because this is a powerful tool. So when I ask you to say and do it, including our audience. Now, the Greeks discovered a shortcut to memory. Take a list you know that's hanging in your memory, hang the new list on that. It takes less time. I'm going to bet if you're listening to us now, you can count to 10. And we're going to use those 10 numbers to learn 10 things super fast. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 looks like a pole, like a flag pole. When I say 1, you say pole. 1.
Oh.
Perfect. 2 is shoes. How many shoes do you wear?
2.
What's 2?
Pair.
Of?
Shoes.
Right. 1 is a?
Pole.
Perfect. 3 is a tricycle. How many wheels on a tricycle? 3. So when I say 3, say tricycle. 3.
Tricycle.
What was 2?
Shoes.
That's 1.
Pole.
Perfect. 4 is a car. How many tires are on a car?
4.
What's 4?
Tires.
Mhm.
On a?
Car.
Tires on a
Right.
car.
2.
Shoes.
Shoes.
Pole.
3.
Tricycle.
All over the map. It doesn't matter. Your brain's learning it now. 5 is a glove. How many fingers in a glove? 5. 5. 5 is?
A glove. 5 fingers.
And 3?
Tricycle.
1?
Pole.
Perfect. 6 gun. They love them in Texas. 6 gun. What's 6?
6 gun.
Right. What was 4?
Car.
Tires on a car.
That's right. 2?
Shoes.
You might even be seeing the pictures when I say this. 7 is lucky and dice. 7 is dice. 7?
Lucky and dice.
Right. What was 5? Fingers?
Glove.
Right. 3?
Tricycle.
1?
Pole.
We're almost done. Rhymes work. Say 8 skate.
8 skate.
What's 8?
Skate.
What was 6? What did they love in Texas?
6 gun.
Right. 4?
Car. The tires.
Tires on a car.
2?
Pair of shoes.
Perfect. 9. How many lives does the cat have?
9 lives.
What's 9?
9 lives of a cat.
Perfect. 7 is lucky in?
Dice.
5 is a?
Glove.
3?
Tricycle.
1?
Pole.
Last 1. 10. How many bowling pins in a lane?
10 bowling pins.
That's right. Let's do the list together now. 1.
Pole.
2.
Shoes.
3.
Tricycle.
4.
Tires on a car.
5.
Glove.
Fingers in a glove.
6. Texas.
6 gun.
6 gun. Mm-hmm.
7 is lucky in?
Dice.
8 rhymes with?
Skate.
9 is a?
The cat lives. 9 cat lives.
And 10?
The 10 pins on the bowling.
Right. You just learned how to speed learn numbers. Imagine you're in a hotel, 314. How many times by the time you got to the lobby, you forgot what room you were in? So 3 is a tricycle, 1's a pole, 4 is a car. Picture, a tricycle hits a pole on a car. A tricycle hits a pole on a car. Tricycle, what number?
3.
It's a pole.
1.
On a car.
4.
That's your hotel. It's also pi in geometry for kids, 3.14 to measure a circle. So I teach this to kids, science, math, history, business, due dates, percentages, room numbers, and the zero, because numbers have an alphabet of 0 to 9. The zero is the 10 bowling pins. Now you know how to learn numbers.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. I was just thankful I could keep up the speed there.
You can teach this to 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds will learn this. It's that easy.
Yeah. That's what had me worrying. You said 3-year-olds can do this. I figured, I hope I don't bowl this on a live radio show.
I was sure you would. I've done this for 35 years. I knew you would do it. It's the problem is they don't teach learning in school or business. They tell you what to learn, why to learn, and what happened when you don't learn, but not what you did wrong and how to fix it. My program is a handbook for the brain, how to learn, how to use the brain's natural learning mechanism to learn anything. That's really what I do.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I mean, this is simply amazing. I can see where homeschoolers, especially the parents who are doing the homeschooling, how this would really help them, get their child to be able to comprehend, remember, and learn. Oh my goodness.
Yes. I had an online high school for homeschoolers, and that's where some of those kids I mentioned earlier went. We had a special ed student, 3rd grade reading in 9th grade. When we got done with her, she had an associate's degree with a 4.0. When our high school friends finished high school, got a full scholarship to Baylor, and then got a master's degree at 22. And she was special ed. So absolutely right. That's what it's for. It helps everyone, young people, old people, business people.
Yeah, I can see for, kids, it can make learning fun, especially when they're learning and comprehending and remembering. It's more fun than just being like a chore like it was when I was in school. I mean, I was a student that struggled in school, and most of the thing was I was bored half the time, to be honest. That's right.
Absolutely right. If we could make learning fun and more interesting, we'd have more successful students. That's my passion.
Oh yeah, you're really on target there, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready to go to commercial break. We're going to be back with Howard Berg right after this message, and the last segment, he's going to share some more great information with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a fun show for Mr. Bill and me. Bill is the honorary host here on the TogiNet radio station, and we are so honored today to have Mr. Howard Berg on our show with us. His website is berglearning.com. That's BERGLEARNING.com. Howard's email address is howard@berglearning.com. And Mr. Bill, I tell you right now, I remember talking about 10 pins and skates and 6 guns and all that stuff. You remember those words there too, brother?
You said it. You said it 9 times when you were talking about the lives of a cat, Jim.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But Howard had mentioned something, and you were talking about speed reading. This has been a speed show.
Yeah.
I want to hear about. You had mentioned emotional intelligence, Howard. Yes, that's the single most important skill you can learn. And many people never learn it, and that's why they're not successful. Let's imagine you studied hard for a test and you failed. Why? I'll give an example. I teach you how to drive. Take the driving test. You fail. I said, why did you fail? I got nervous. It was a test. That's an emotional intelligence problem. He had to present something on a stage, and he froze. I got nervous. There were people hearing me. Those are emotional intelligence problems. When I was training the Green Berets, that's one of the things I focused on. They're very well trained, but if they don't remember what they learned, they can get killed. And many times they're awake 3-4 days without sleep. And if they don't stay sharp, they're going to have a problem. So I'm going to show you what I taught them to create a state. And you can do this with me. Now we know the left side of the brain controls the right controls the left. So take your left hand, touch your right shoulder. Take your right hand, touch your left shoulder alternately. And it's like the Macarena without the music, but it's also a brain massage. The second step is the same thing. Ideally, you're standing. Right now, I know we're at the mic, so we can't stand. But ideally, you're standing. You take your left hand, touch your right knee. Right hand, touch your left knee. And when you're standing, the knee will move and the hand, so both sides of your brain are doing something. And grab your thumb in your fist, grab it inside your fist, and say this like you mean it. I feel great. Yes, like you mean it.
I feel great.
I feel great.
No, like you mean it. I feel great.
Great.
I feel great. No, I feel great.
Woo, I feel
Yes,
great.
because if you go, I feel great, that's how you're going to feel. I don't think that's what you want.
No.
So we're going to do 3 sets of these at my pace, starting with the shoulder taps. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you feel?
I feel great.
I feel great. Mm-hmm.
Yes. This time a little faster, starting with the shoulder taps. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you feel?
I feel great.
I feel great.
Yes. And this time you're going to go as fast as you can possibly go. And when you're standing, move away from the table so you don't bang your knees. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you feel? I feel great. Now, do you know what happens when you do this 3 times? Nothing. And you probably would like something. So let me show you how that works. Remember Pavlov? He rang the bell. That's my Rotary bell. I'm the president of my Rotary Club. He rang a bell. He fed a dog. He rang a bell. He fed a dog. He rang the bell, and the dog drooled. You don't want to drool, but you want more energy. So here's what happens. You do this for 90 days. The latest studies on the brain say habits take 90 days, not 30. Every day, slow, medium, fast. And you don't want to be in an important meeting, stand up and start tapping your shoulders. They'll think something's very wrong. You grab your thumb and you say to yourself, I feel great, yes. And you remember, every time you did it, you stimulated the left brain, the right brain, both sides. You wake up. And that's what I was teaching these young men. And in the same way, you can learn how to relax, how to be creative, how to focus. And so we can create emotional states that are conducive for success. In business, what states do people need to be in to do what you tell them successfully? And what are you doing to help them avoid being in the wrong state? Many times when people fail to do what you're telling them, it's because they were in the wrong emotional state to do it correctly. And this is we can learn to teach, and it's part of my program at Berg Learning.
Wow. When you were saying that and going through the exercises and all that, I could just picture, a homeschooler, and I'm still in that, in that circle there, but I could just picture a homeschooler teaching their child that and having fun too.
Yes.
And I'm old school, and not only did I feel great, ladies and gentlemen, I also felt supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
That's good. I got a funny story on that. You hear Joe Franklin? Joe Franklin had the longest running show in history, 50 years, one person.
Wow.
And I was on the last 3 weeks. I'm sitting next to him, and during the break, I said, Joe, what's your secret? How'd you do it? He smiled. He said, sincerity. And when you can fake that, you can do anything. I want you to know, no one fakes sincerity for 50 years. No one. People know when you care about them or you just want to sell something.
Right.
Very important that in business, you don't just try to sell something, but you stand behind it. You help people. You make sure they got what they paid for. So they know they can trust you. I know when people take my program, we have a money-back guarantee. If they need help, we have a support team. If they don't help, I do. I want to know what's going on. I want to make sure anyone who uses my program learns it because we need more smart people. Look what's going on in our country and our world. With global warming and exploding deficits. We have the virus causing all kinds of problems. What are we doing to make our kids smart enough to solve the problems we're giving them? Don't they deserve more than a palette of problems? That's what I'm doing. I'm going around the world trying to help young people get more intelligent so they will have better preparation to succeed and handle some of the problems we're giving them. I can't solve every problem. So if I can help more of them become smarter and more capable, then they can solve the problems. And business people will make more money, be more productive, and seniors will have a better use of their brain as they grow older. And I feel that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm dedicating my life to.
Go
It's
ahead
really
and mention
amazing.
I'm sorry, Howard. Mention your website again for our audience. This has been really fascinating, and uh, let's make sure that they know how to get a hold of your information so that they can improve their lives.
Berg Learning, spelled BERG, one word, berglearning.com. And go to the Speed Reading Genius program. Again, there's two versions. One's for students and one is for adults, professionals. They'll find there's other programs as well, like on how to write and how to remember and speed math. We weren't covering any of that today, so I didn't really talk about it, but they're welcome to look at all the programs. We have some free lessons. And as I mentioned, we always offer a total satisfaction guarantee, and we have very, very high success rate.
Well, I can believe that because the little bit that you've shared with us today, my goodness gracious, I mean, you've really helped us a lot, and you're going to help a lot of people out there and that listen to the radio show live or podcast later on. But I tell you what, Bill, I mean, this is the kind of show that I wish we could put on every single week because this has just been absolutely fascinating to me. It really has. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, it is. I'm still kind of laughing about learning about how to memorize numbers because it's so effective.
Oh, yeah.
And fun.
Yeah.
That's so important in learning. How many teachers did you have? You couldn't wait to go. They were going to make you laugh and feel good. And then there was that teacher, like, someone kill me. When is the bell going to ring? Learning should be fun. You learn better when you're enjoying yourself, when it's pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know, I helped launch the Comedy Network in the late 80s with Dennis Leary, and I was Stewart's first guest. I'll show you why biologists don't get asked to do comedy. Mushroom walks in a bar. Bartender says, "Get out. We don't serve your kind." Mushroom said, "Why not? I'm a fun guy." And that's why biologists don't get to do comedy. And the fun part is I make my programs entertaining and fun. Enjoying yourself. You're having a good time. Brain's going to want to remember what made you feel so good.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you're learning how to learn. So it's a double win. You're having fun, getting entertained, and you're getting smarter. Things that are so important in today's knowledge-based economy.
That fits right into what we say about whenever you're doing a presentation, people will never remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
That's right. The problem is 3 weeks after most trainings, all they remember is I made some friends and they had good donuts. We need to do better than that. We want them to actually remember what they learned so they can use it when they need it. And that's really my goal, is to make people smarter so the information their success depends upon is at their fingertips when they need to use it.
That makes perfect sense, doesn't it, Bill?
Yeah, it really does. I'm really fascinated by this whole process. In fact, I was thinking of my granddaughter who really struggled because of online school last year because she just didn't have the capacity to sit in front of a computer for 7 hours and continue to pay attention while everything moves so slow.
Yes. I taught a group of teachers in Oklahoma in White Bee, which is in the middle of nowhere, and they were rated in the top 10% of all schools in America and won an award for the Department of Education. White Bee has more cows than people, but they learned the right way to teach these kids, and that's one of the things I do. I train teachers.
That's simply amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, all the information that Howard has shared with us today is going to be in the description of the show, especially his website, berglearning.com, BERGLEARNING.com. His email address is howard@berglearning.com. And Mr. Bill, I'm just so pleased to be here today. And this whole show has been absolutely too fast and too, just blowing my mind. How about you, brother?
Yeah, it's really fascinating information, Jim. Thank you very much, Howard. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you, Howard, for being with us. We're about ready to wrap up the show for this time. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this show with others. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.